10 Most Shocking Ancient Discoveries Scientists Don't Want You to Know About. Some people say history is the truth, but what if most of that truth has been buried underground for thousands of years? Why do so many ancient artifacts appear to contain technology far beyond the era they came from? Why have certain archaeological discoveries sparked fierce debates among scientists only to suddenly disappear from the media? And the most terrifying question of all is this: there may be ancient secrets humanity has never truly understood. From ancient tombs and perfectly preserved skeletons to ancient mummies and thousand-year-old burial grounds, these are not simply archaeological discoveries, but possibly evidence that the history of the world is completely different from what we have always believed. Hello, and welcome back to Ancient History, the place where we explore forgotten mysteries, lost civilizations, and strange archaeological discoveries that once shocked the entire world. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into the 10 most shocking ancient discoveries on Earth that even to this day still have no truly convincing explanation. From mysterious human remains hidden deep inside ancient caves to entire cities buried beneath the desert for thousands of years, to bizarre artifacts that seem completely out of place in their own time periods. Every discovery opens the door to even bigger questions about the true origins of human civilization. Some of these findings have forced scientists to rewrite history itself. Others have become even more terrifying the deeper researchers investigate them. So prepare yourself, because today's journey will bring you closer to secrets that history may never have wanted to reveal. Now then, are you ready? If you are, let's begin. The 3,000-year-old mummies in Scotland that forced scientists to rewrite British history. Hidden beneath the cold soil of South Uist Island in Scotland, United Kingdom, lay a secret that remained undiscovered for thousands of years. And that secret was not buried treasure or ancient weapons, but mummies so strange that even modern archaeologists were horrified when they uncovered the truth behind them. But the most terrifying part is this: these mummies did not belong to complete human beings. The story began in 2001 at the archaeological site of Clad Hallen on South Uist Island, where archaeologists uncovered two nearly intact skeletons buried beneath the floors of Bronze Age houses. At first, this was considered a normal archaeological discovery, but the deeper scientists investigated, the more they realized they were facing one of the strangest mysteries in ancient British history. According to their analysis, the two skeletons were approximately 3,000 years old and became the first evidence suggesting that prehistoric people in Britain may have practiced mummification. Before this discovery, many believed that body preservation techniques were mainly associated with ancient Egypt or South America, but the findings at Clad Hallen completely changed that assumption. However, the real mystery only began when scientists used modern technology to examine the DNA and bone structures. The results shocked everyone. These two mummies did not belong to two individuals, but were instead assembled from the bones of at least 6 different people. It sounds like something from an ancient horror story, doesn't it? Yet it was a conclusion confirmed through scientific research. Bones from multiple individuals had been carefully arranged, connected, and pieced together like a puzzle to create a single, complete body. Even more shocking, a study conducted by the University of Manchester revealed another disturbing detail. One of the mummies had originally been identified as female because of its pelvic structure. But after a detailed DNA and skull analysis, scientists discovered that the head actually belonged to a man. In the end, researchers concluded that this mummy was a combination of 3 different bodies. Just imagine this for a moment. 3,000 years ago, prehistoric people were capable of selecting individual body parts, assembling them together, and creating a complete mummy with deep spiritual significance. Doesn't that suggest that their rituals and belief systems were far more complex than history once believed? According to Professor Mike Parker Pearson of the University of Sheffield in England, these mummies may have been created from members of the same bloodline within a family. The act of combining body parts appears to have been intentional and likely connected to Bronze Age ancestor worship practices. One theory suggests that the community believed the mummies served as spiritual bridges between the living and their ancestors, helping them make important decisions or protect the community from disaster. Because of this, the bodies were not buried immediately after death, but were instead preserved for generations as sacred relics. What makes the mystery even stranger is that archaeologists determined these individuals had died approximately 300 to 500 years before the houses at Clad Hallen were built. That means the mummies had been preserved above ground for many generations before they were finally buried. And the discoveries did not stop there. Later chemical analyses revealed astonishing details about prehistoric British mummification techniques. The bones had all been demineralized, a process that occurs when bodies are placed in peat bog environments for long periods of time. This is the same natural preservation method discovered in many famous bog bodies across Europe. Scientists believe that after death, the bodies were submerged in peat bogs for about 1 year to prevent decomposition. They were then removed, restored, and assembled into complete mummies. So far, archaeologists have uncovered 3 mummies at the site, which contain 7 ancient houses built around 1000 BC. But the area appears to have been far more than just a residential settlement. Evidence suggests it may also have served as an extremely important ritual and religious center for the Bronze Age community. Beneath the floor of one northern house, archaeologists also discovered the remains of a sheep buried alongside 2 of the mummies, possibly connected to an ancient sacrificial ritual. In the same location, the body of a 13-year-old girl who had not been mummified was also found beneath the house floor. Meanwhile, beneath 3 southern houses, archaeologists uncovered the mummified remains of 3 children buried around 1000 BC. All of these discoveries have made Clad Hallen one of the most mysterious archaeological sites ever discovered in Britain. Archaeological journalist David Keyes believes that future research may reveal even more shocking truths. But even now, the discovery of these mummies in Scotland has already forced scientists to completely reconsider everything they thought they knew about life, death, and spiritual beliefs in prehistoric Britain. The human skull with teeth pulled out while still alive, inside a 500-year-old death cave in Africa. Deep within the wild jungles of Gabon, a country located in Central Africa, there is a cave that almost no one dared to enter for hundreds of years. Why? Because this place has no sunlight and no easy entrance. It is nothing more than a massive dark abyss that seems to swallow everything beneath it. But hidden inside that terrifying place were countless human skulls with teeth ripped out in an incredibly strange way, leaving archaeologists stunned when they uncovered the truth. The story began at Irungu Cave, located in Ngunie province in southwestern Gabon. In 1992, archaeologist Richard Oslesley from the French National Center for Scientific Research, also known as the CNRS, accidentally discovered this mysterious cave during an expedition through the deep rainforest. But the shocking part is that for more than 25 years afterward, no one was actually able to reach the bottom of the cave to study it. As mentioned earlier, the cave lies deep within the African rainforest, surrounded by dangerously steep rock walls. Reaching the bottom was so difficult that it was not until 2018 that archaeologists finally carried out the first successful descent into the cave. And the moment their lights illuminated the cold ground below, everyone froze in shock when they realized the cave floor was covered in human bones. Not just a few isolated skeletons, but thousands of bone fragments piled together in the darkness. After analysis, scientists determined that the cave contained the remains of at least 24 adults, both men and women, along with 4 children. All of them were dated to around the 14th and 15th centuries, meaning they lived approximately 500 to 700 years ago. However, what makes Irungu Cave truly terrifying is not simply the number of human remains, but the way the bodies ended up at the bottom of the cave. According to researchers, although the bones were scattered together, most of the skeletons remained relatively intact. This suggests that ancient people threw entire bodies into the cave rather than bringing only dry bones there. In other words, this place may once have served as a mysterious burial pit hidden deep within the African rainforest. Surrounding the skeletons, archaeologists also discovered countless burial objects, including bracelets, metal rings, axes, knives, more than 100 seashells, and dozens of carnivorous animal teeth. These artifacts suggest that the people buried at the bottom of the cave may not have been ordinary individuals, but members of a special community or people of important social status during that era. But then an even more chilling detail emerged when scientists began examining the skulls. Almost every skull found inside Irungu Cave was missing the exact same 4 upper front teeth. including the 2 central incisors and the 2 teeth beside them. What made this even stranger was that the tooth sockets showed clear signs of complete healing. That means one horrifying thing: these teeth had been removed while the individuals were still alive. Just imagine this for a moment. Hundreds of years ago, deep within the jungles of Central Africa, there existed a community that intentionally removed 4 upper front teeth from their faces as a form of identification. This was not an accident nor some random punishment. It appears to have been an extremely important cultural practice. Sebastian Villot, the lead researcher and a specialist with the CNRS, explained that dental modification rituals once existed in many parts of the world and were especially common in ancient Africa. People in the past would file, carve, or remove teeth to alter their appearance, mark social status, or express tribal identity. However, the removal of 4 upper front teeth at the same time, as seen in Irangu Cave, is extremely rare. The 500-year-old skeleton discovered beneath London's sewer system. During the construction of the £4.2 billion Tideway Super Sewer project along the banks of the River Thames in Bermondsey, London, one of the largest sewage infrastructure projects in England, built to improve the city's overloaded ancient sewer system, construction workers and archaeologists made a shocking discovery: a human skeleton buried deep beneath thick black mud. You know, the moment the remains slowly emerged under the bright construction lights, everyone stopped in silence. Not only because the skeleton was remarkably well preserved, but because the position of the man's body was deeply disturbing. He was lying face down in the mud, with one arm stretched behind his head, as if he had desperately struggled during his final moments before death. Some archaeologists later said the scene felt as though time itself had frozen at the exact moment the tragedy occurred hundreds of years ago. According to information published by the British newspaper The Independent, experts believe the remains belonged to a man around 35 years old. But what drew the most attention was a pair of tall leather boots that had remained almost completely intact beneath the mud of the River Thames. After half a millennium buried underground in damp soil, the boots still survived as one final trace of their unfortunate owner. It was these boots that helped archaeologists date the skeleton to approximately 500 years ago. But who was this man? And why was he buried beneath London's sewer system? After examining the location and the position of the body, researchers suggested that the man may have suffered an accident while climbing over a wall near the River Thames. He likely slipped and fell into a drainage area below. Unable to climb back out, the man became trapped and eventually suffocated beneath rising mud and incoming tides. Soon afterward, water from the Thames carried more mud and sediment over his body, sealing the area and turning it into a cold, forgotten grave hidden for centuries. But the story does not end there. As archaeologists continued their investigation, they uncovered even more fascinating details about the mysterious man's life. Through analysis of his teeth, experts noticed unusual wear patterns, marks commonly found in sailors and fishermen from centuries ago. According to specialists, people who worked on the water often used their teeth to grip ropes while pulling sails or securing ships. Years of repeating this habit left visible traces on the man's teeth. In other words, the man discovered beneath London's sewer system may once have been a sailor navigating the River Thames, or perhaps a fisherman struggling to survive in the freezing waters of medieval England. And then there were the leather boots, which revealed yet another part of the story. The 2,000-year-old skeletons boiled alive during the Vesuvius disaster in Pompeii. For nearly 2,000 years, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius has been considered one of the most horrifying volcanic disasters in human history. But what truly sends chills down archaeologists' spines is not only the scale of the catastrophe, but the terrifying way many of the victims died. A chilling example of this was recently uncovered during excavations in the ancient city of Pompeii, near Naples in southern Italy, where archaeologists discovered 5 nearly intact skeletons inside a small room buried beneath lava, volcanic ash, and stone. What makes the discovery even more heartbreaking is that 3 of the victims were children. You know, the moment the skeletons slowly emerged from beneath the gray ash, the entire excavation team fell silent. Because after nearly 2 millennia buried underground, the victims were still lying in the exact positions where death had finally reached them. In 79 AD, when Mount Vesuvius suddenly erupted, The city of Pompeii was living in peace. People were likely eating, resting, or trading as they did every ordinary day, completely unaware that within only a few hours, their entire city would be erased from the map. According to archaeologists, the 5 victims attempted to escape when the eruption began. But amid the terrifying chaos, with black ash covering the sky, burning rocks falling from above, and toxic gases rushing down from the volcano, they had nowhere left to run. In the end, the group took shelter inside a small room in a house, hoping to survive. But that shelter became their final tomb. Examinations revealed that the 5 skeletons belonged to 2 women and 3 children. All of them were buried beneath massive layers of scorching volcanic ash from the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. What surprised archaeologists most was how well preserved the skeletons remained, despite the fact that the area had been heavily looted for centuries in the past. The discovery is considered extremely important because it helps scientists better understand the victims' final moments during the Pompeii disaster. However, when experts conducted deeper analysis, an even more horrifying truth began to emerge. According to research, many victims of the eruption did not die from falling rocks or suffocation, as people once believed. Instead, they may have died almost instantly from the unimaginable heat of the pyroclastic flow, a deadly wave of superheated gas and volcanic ash. The temperatures generated by the eruption were so extreme that the victim's blood may have boiled and vaporized almost instantly. It sounds like something out of a horror movie, yet this is an actual scientific conclusion. Experts also explained that many skeletons discovered in Pompeii show signs suggesting that human brains were essentially cooked by the extreme heat. When the intense temperatures struck the skull, steam formed so rapidly that pressure built up inside the head, causing some skulls to explode. That means many people died before volcanic ash and debris even buried their bodies. Just imagine the scene at that moment, the sky turning completely dark in the middle of the day, the ground violently shaking, air so hot it felt like fire sweeping through the city. The people of Pompeii had almost no chance of escape as clouds of superheated gas rushed toward them at incredible speed. A truly terrifying sight, wasn't it? According to historians, the eruption of 79 AD killed approximately 16,000 people. Pompeii and several nearby areas were buried beneath yards of ash in an extremely short period of time. For centuries, the city vanished completely from the world until it was rediscovered in the 18th century. Since then, Pompeii has become one of the most famous archaeological sites on Earth, where every skeleton, every wall, and every surviving object tells the story of the final horrifying moments of an ancient Roman civilization. And the recent discovery of these 5 skeletons once again proves that the Vesuvius disaster was far more than an ordinary volcanic eruption. It was like a nightmare that froze time itself, preserving the fear, desperation, and final moments of human lives from nearly 2,000 years ago. Even today, every time archaeologists dig deeper beneath the ancient ash of Pompeii, the world uncovers another tragic story buried for centuries beneath the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. And these 5 skeletons are powerful evidence of exactly that. The 500-year-old wall made of human bones discovered inside an ancient church in Belgium. During archaeological research and excavations inside the ancient St. Bavo Church in the city of Ghent, Belgium, archaeologists made a discovery that shocked all of Europe. Hidden behind the church's old stone walls were countless human skeletons deliberately stacked together to form a bizarre wall of human bones dating back approximately 500 years. And the moment the first layers of dirt and stone were removed, the experts were left almost speechless. Because what appeared before them was not a few isolated skeletons or ancient coffins, but an entire structure built from real human bones. Long femurs and shin bones from adult humans had been carefully arranged like construction materials. Mixed among them were numerous human skulls that had cracked over time. Just imagine this for a moment. Hundreds of years ago, people in medieval Europe gathered real human skeletons and used them to build a wall inside a church. Simply thinking about it is enough to give many people chills, isn't it? The leader of the archaeological project, Jean-Jacques de Gries, stated that this phenomenon had never before been discovered in the city of Ghent. That alone deeply surprised researchers, because no historical documents had ever mentioned human bones being used in such a strange way in this region. According to experts, the mysterious wall may have been constructed around the 17th century. However, the human remains themselves date back to approximately the 15th century. In other words, the bones are about 200 years older than the hidden wall structure inside St. Bavo Church. So why did people in the past do something so unusual? According to the archaeological team's theory, when the church expanded or renovated the surrounding cemetery area, large numbers of old remains had to be relocated. But during the medieval period in Europe, handling human bones was not as simple as it is today. People at that time held strong beliefs in resurrection after death. They considered human bones to be the most sacred and important part of the body. Because of this, skeletal remains could not simply be discarded carelessly. You may notice that most of the bones found in the wall were femurs, shin bones, and skulls, the largest and most recognizable parts of the human body. According to De Gries, when workers cleared old graves, they may not have had enough time to collect every smaller bone fragment, especially the bones of children. As a result, they reused the remaining bones to construct new burial structures or memorial features inside the church. It may sound horrifying to us today, but during the Middle Ages, it may have carried deep religious and spiritual meaning. But the story becomes even more unsettling when you look at how the skeletons were arranged. The bones were not thrown together randomly. Instead, they were organized quite neatly, almost like a genuine architectural structure. That suggests the creation of the human bone wall was completely intentional and carried out with great care. For centuries, the wall remained hidden in darkness behind the ancient stone walls of St. Bavo Church, completely unknown to the outside world. Only when archaeological excavations began was this terrifying secret finally revealed. And interestingly, the discovery in Belgium is not the only strange case uncovered in Europe in recent years. In January of the same year, archaeologists discovered 4 mysterious warrior graves from the 11th century in Poland. Not long afterward, more than 40 human skeletons with their hands tied behind their backs were discovered at a construction site in the United Kingdom. These repeated discoveries have led many experts to believe that countless horrifying secrets still remain buried beneath the soil of Europe. And sometimes, all it takes is a small excavation inside an ancient church to bring an entire forgotten chapter of dark history back into the light after hundreds of years. What do you think about this discovery? Or do you have another theory entirely? If so, don't hesitate to leave a comment below so we can discuss it together. The giant tower of human skulls of the Aztec Empire beneath Mexico City. On December 12th, Mexico's archaeological community once again shocked the world when researchers announced the discovery of 119 additional human skulls at the site of the famous Aztec Skull Tower, a structure that many people familiar with ancient history have likely heard about, located directly beneath the center of Mexico City, Mexico. The skulls were discovered on the eastern side of the ancient structure, bringing the total number of human remains found at the site to a figure that sends chills down many people's spines. According to Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History, the skulls belong to men, women, and even children. That single detail completely changed previous assumptions about the sacrificial rituals of the ancient Aztec civilization. The site where the skulls were discovered lies beneath the Templo Mayor, one of the largest and most sacred temples of ancient Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire before it was conquered by the Spanish. Today, that same location sits in the heart of modern Mexico City. This mysterious skull tower was first discovered around 5 years ago during archaeological excavations. From the moment the first skulls emerged from beneath the earth and stone, researchers knew they were standing before an extraordinarily important discovery. According to experts, the structure is part of the Huitzilopochtli, a massive skull rack system that reportedly terrified Spanish conquistadors when they entered Tenochtitlan in 1521. Historical records describe Spanish soldiers witnessing thousands of human skulls displayed on giant wooden racks as a horrifying warning from the Aztec Empire. But for centuries, many people believed those stories were exaggerated accounts of war, until archaeologists actually uncovered the evidence beneath the ground of Mexico. What makes this discovery so shocking is that the skull tower is not simply a mass burial site. It is a large cylindrical structure measuring approximately 16 feet in diameter, carefully constructed by stacking human skulls together with mortar and other building materials. According to research, the tower was built in 3 separate phases between 1486 and 1502, during the height of the Aztec Empire's power. At first, archaeologists believed the site mainly contained the skulls of male warriors sacrificed after battle, but the deeper they excavated, the more horrifying the truth became. Among the skulls were large numbers belonging to women and children. Just think about that for a moment. Why would children appear in what was believed to be a site dedicated to sacrificed warriors? That question immediately forced archaeologists to reconsider many long-standing theories about ancient Aztec religious rituals. Many experts believe the Aztec Empire may have carried out large-scale human sacrifices as offerings to the gods they worshipped. In Aztec belief systems, sacrifice was considered necessary to maintain the balance of the world and satisfy the gods. Some historical records even mention that children may have been sacrificed to the rain god Tlaloc in hopes of bringing rainfall and successful harvests. However, to this day, many mysteries surrounding these rituals still remain unsolved. Mexico's Secretary of Culture, Alejandra Frausto, stated that Templo Mayor continues to amaze archaeologists with every new excavation. According to her, the Huitzilopochtli is one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries made in Mexico in recent years. And indeed, every time researchers dig a few more feet beneath Mexico City, the dark history of the Aztec Empire becomes even clearer. What makes it even more unsettling is that for hundreds of years, thousands of people walked directly above a site once filled with human skulls, completely unaware that ancient sacrificial remains lay hidden beneath their feet. Even today, the Aztec Skull Tower remains one of the most haunting archaeological discoveries in the world. It not only reveals the immense power and extreme religious beliefs of the Aztec Empire, but also reminds us that beneath modern cities, terrifying secrets may still exist, secrets that have never been fully uncovered. But what about you? Have you ever seen another archaeological discovery this horrifying? Leave a comment below and share the most shocking discovery you've ever heard about, so everyone can learn more about it together. The 16,000-year-old cave in Spain, containing a treasure that reveals the secrets of human evolution. Hidden deep beneath the cold rocky mountains of Cantabria province in northern Spain lies a cave that many scientists describe as a time machine for humanity. Not because it contains gold or precious treasure, but because every step inside feels like traveling tens of thousands of years back into the past, to a world where the ancestors of humankind once lived, hunted, and left behind traces of their existence preserved in almost unbelievable condition. What makes it even more astonishing is that for thousands of years, the cave was nearly forgotten by the world. Then, in 1995, a team of Spanish archaeologists conducting research in Cantabria unexpectedly discovered the site. That cave was La Garma, a place that would later become recognized as one of the most important archaeological discoveries in Europe. The moment scientists entered the cave, they realized they were standing before a true treasure of human history. Unlike many archaeological sites that require deep excavation underground, the traces of ancient humans at La Garma remained almost perfectly preserved directly on the cave floor itself. Just imagine this for a moment. A place where footprints, tools, ashes from ancient fireplaces, and even paintings on the cave walls still remain in the exact positions where humans left them around 16,000 years ago. It feels almost like opening a doorway into the prehistoric world, doesn't it? According to researchers, La Garma Cave was once inhabited by the Magdalenian people, a civilization from the late Upper Paleolithic period in Europe. This was a time when humans began making major advances in art, hunting technology, and community life. Inside the cave, archaeologists discovered an area measuring approximately 54 square feet, filled with traces of ancient daily life. The site contained large stone blocks, natural stalagmites, and the remains of an ancient hearth once used by humans tens of thousands of years ago. Based on the evidence left behind, scientists believe the Magdalenian people used the cave to craft tools, process hunted meat, work with bones, and tan animal hides. What makes the site truly remarkable is that nearly everything still remains exactly where it was originally left. The entire space appears as though time itself froze there for 16,000 years. Among the thousands of artifacts discovered, one detail especially captured the attention of researchers. It was a fossilized toe bone from an ancient cave lion, a species that once dominated prehistoric Europe but became extinct long ago. Scientists have suggested that humans from that era may have contributed to the extinction of cave lions through hunting or competition for territory and resources. However, that is only a tiny part of the treasure hidden inside La Garma. In total, archaeologists documented more than 4,614 artifacts within the cave. These included horse bones, bison bones, flint tools, hunting harpoons, seashells, and even ancient pendants once worn by prehistoric humans. Just think about that. Tens of thousands of years ago, our ancestors were not only hunting to survive, but were also creating jewelry and producing art. Doesn't that suggest that prehistoric human intelligence and creativity were far more advanced than many people once believed? And the discoveries did not stop there. Inside the cave, scientists found around 500 ancient paintings drawn directly onto the rock walls. Many of the images still retain traces of color despite surviving for tens of thousands of years. These artworks depict animals, mysterious symbols, and scenes connected to the lives of the Magdalenian people. The light from ancient torches found inside the cave led researchers to believe that prehistoric humans intentionally traveled deep underground to perform rituals or create art within the sacred space. In addition, archaeologists discovered rounded stone domes and horse skulls arranged in unusual ways, raising the possibility that the cave served not only as a shelter, but also as a spiritual or ceremonial site for ancient people. After the discovery of the cave in 1995, archaeologists spent nearly 2 years analyzing the artifacts and internal structure of the site. Eventually, they reached a stunning conclusion. The La Garma cave complex preserves evidence representing approximately 300,000 years of human evolutionary history. That is precisely why La Garma was later recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And even today, scientists are still planning to recreate the ancient living environment of the cave's inhabitants for exhibition at the Cantabria Rock Art Center in Puente Viejo, Spain. To this day, La Garma remains one of the most valuable archaeological treasures on Earth, because every bone fragment, every stone tool, and every painting on the cave walls continues to tell the story of how our human ancestors survived, created, and gradually evolved in the wild world tens of thousands of years ago. Truly fascinating, isn't it? The 1,800-year-old treasure beneath a German river, an ancient Roman secret buried for 2 millennia. Beneath an ancient river in the city of Augsburg, Germany, a secret lay hidden for nearly 2,000 years without anyone ever knowing. Every day, the water continued flowing through the area. People walked past it constantly, completely unaware that beneath the riverbed rested thousands of ancient Roman silver coins once connected to one of the most powerful empires in human history. It was only recently, during an archaeological excavation, that scientists finally uncovered the secret, a discovery that stunned researchers across Europe. According to archaeologists, more than 5,500 Roman silver coins were found beneath the river. An enormous treasure hoard approximately 1,800 years old, buried since the days when the Roman Empire stood at the height of its power. Experts say this is one of the largest Roman coin hoards ever discovered in the Bavaria region of Germany. The coins were scattered across the riverbed as though they had been carried away by the current centuries ago. The moment the first silver coins were lifted from the dark mud, researchers immediately realized they were facing something extraordinary, because these were not ordinary coins. According to Professor Stefan Kremnicek, an expert in ancient coin research at the University of Tübingen in Germany, most of the coins discovered were denarii, the famous standard silver currency of the Roman Empire used from roughly the 1st century through the early 3rd century AD. During that era, the denarius was almost a symbol of Roman economic power. These coins circulated throughout the empire's vast territory, stretching from Europe to North Africa and the Middle East. That suggests the owner of this treasure may have been an extremely wealthy individual, a major merchant, a high-ranking official, or perhaps even someone connected to the Roman military. But the question troubling archaeologists the most is this: why was such an enormous amount of money lying beneath the river? Initial studies showed that the coins were spread widely across the bed of the Wertach River, leading many experts to believe they may have been washed away over centuries by flooding. However, the deeper researchers investigated, the greater the mystery became. One theory suggests the treasure was originally buried in the early 3rd century near the ancient Roman city of Augusta Vindelicum, the area now known as Augsburg, Germany. At the time, it served as the capital of the Roman province of Raetia and was an extremely important military and commercial center. Even more interesting, near the discovery site lies the Via Claudia Augusta, one of the most famous ancient Roman roads connecting northern Italy to regions of present-day Germany. Just imagine this for a moment. For hundreds of years, thousands of Roman merchants, soldiers, and officials traveled along that road. So could the treasure beneath the river be connected to a secret shipment, an ancient robbery, or even lost government funds belonging to the Roman Empire itself? No one knows for certain, but some researchers believe the owner may have intentionally hidden the silver to protect it from war, looting, or political instability during the early 3rd century, a time when the Roman Empire was beginning to face serious internal turmoil. Then, for some unknown reason, the person who buried the treasure never returned to recover it. And that is exactly what makes this discovery so fascinating. The 3,400-year-old tomb discovered on the island of Crete, Greece. Some secrets of history remain buried underground for thousands of years without anyone ever knowing, until an incredibly ordinary accident suddenly brings them back into the light. And this time, it happened on the island of Crete in Greece, the birthplace of one of the most mysterious civilizations of the ancient world. The entire story began with a car, not a massive archaeological excavation, not satellite imaging or advanced underground scanning technology, just a farmer parking his car beneath an olive tree in his garden to escape the heat, only to suddenly watch the ground beneath him slowly collapse. At that moment, the man probably never imagined that his car had accidentally opened a doorway leading to an ancient tomb forgotten for more than 3,400 years. According to Greek archaeologists, this strange discovery occurred on the island of Crete, the largest island in Greece and the famous center of the ancient Minoan civilization. After the car fell into the deep hole, the farmer tried to pull it back out, but while inspecting the collapsed area, he suddenly noticed objects resembling ceramic coffins buried beneath the soil. Sensing that something was unusual, he immediately contacted local authorities. Not long afterward, a team of archaeologists arrived at the site. And then came the astonishing confirmation. Beneath that ordinary olive garden lay an ancient tomb dating from around 1400 to 1200 BC, approximately 3,400 years old, belonging to the late period of the Minoan civilization. According to archaeologists, the tomb had been constructed within soft limestone rock, a style of architecture commonly used in ancient Greece during that era. Originally, the burial chamber had a trench-like entrance, but it had been sealed with stone long ago. Strangely enough, it was the farmer's car that accidentally broke through the upper section of the tomb, creating an entirely new entrance for modern archaeologists. But interestingly, even before the collapse happened, there had already been unusual signs in the garden. According to reports, an automatic irrigation system in the area had malfunctioned, causing water to leak continuously and soften the surrounding soil over time. That gradual weakening eventually destabilized the roof of the underground tomb. Then one day, when the farmer parked his car beneath the olive tree, the entire section of ground suddenly gave way. A small accident, but one that led to an archaeological discovery that captured the attention of all of Greece. As experts explored deeper inside, they discovered two ancient clay coffins known as larnaces, a style of coffin commonly used during the Minoan period. These coffins are famous for their ability to preserve human remains remarkably well over thousands of years. Inside each coffin was an ancient human skeleton. What especially caught the researchers' attention was the burial position of the bodies. The skeletons had been placed in a crouched, bent knee position, a burial ritual commonly practiced by the Minoans of that era. Not only that, but despite surviving for more than 3 millennia, the skeletal remains still preserved a surprising amount of detail. This suggests that the ancient people carried out the burial rituals with great care and organization. In addition to the two skeletons, archaeologists also discovered 2 ancient pottery vessels and several colorful pieces of jewelry buried alongside the dead. Just think about that. More than 3,000 years ago, the people living on Crete believed the dead needed to carry possessions with them into the afterlife. And now, those small objects have become priceless clues, helping scientists better understand the lives of the ancient Minoan civilization. Today, Greek archaeologists are continuing to study the 2 skeletons in hopes of learning more about the diet, health, customs, and daily life of the late Minoan people. And what makes this discovery especially remarkable is that it was not uncovered inside a famous pyramid or a massive temple. Instead, it was hidden beneath the ordinary garden of a farmer. Sometimes history is like that. It is not always hidden in distant, mysterious places. Sometimes it is sleeping silently right beneath our feet, waiting for a simple accident to bring it back into the light after thousands of years of being forgotten. More than 100 ancient graves, buried for thousands of years beneath a water reservoir, shock residents in Germany. You know, our world is incredibly fascinating. There are places that appear completely ordinary on the surface, yet deep underground they may be hiding entire chapters of history unknown to modern humanity. And in the Geisingen-Gutmadingen district of the city of Tuttlingen, in southwestern Germany, a simple plan to dig a rainwater retention pond unexpectedly turned into one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries in the region. At first, nobody thought the site was anything special. It was just a quiet piece of land scheduled to be excavated for the construction of a local rainwater reservoir. Heavy machinery began operating, and layers of soil were removed just like at any ordinary construction project. But during the excavation, archaeologists from the company Archaeological GmbH noticed strange signs beneath the ground. As they dug deeper, they began to see the outlines of ancient burial pits. Then another grave appeared, and then many more. The archaeologists quickly realized they were standing above an entire ancient cemetery that had been buried and forgotten for thousands of years. According to the research team, the site contains numerous graves dating from several different historical periods. What surprised archaeologists the most was that one of the graves dated back to the Neolithic period, around the 3rd millennium BC. That means more than 5,000 years ago, when much of Europe was still in a very early stage of development, humans were already living and building communities in this part of Germany. Inside the oldest grave, experts discovered several pottery artifacts belonging to the corded ware culture, a famous prehistoric culture that once existed across Europe. This detail is what makes the discovery especially important, because the corded ware people were not just ordinary ancient settlers. They are considered to have been a highly developed agricultural society that raised cattle and sheep and cultivated barley at a very early stage in European history. Most notably, they were famous for their unique pottery-making techniques. Instead of leaving pottery surfaces smooth, they pressed cords into the soft clay to create decorative patterns before firing the vessels. Those distinctive markings helped archaeologists identify the culture of the grave's occupants. What makes the discovery even more remarkable is that before these graves were uncovered, many researchers believed the Geisingen-Gutmadingen area had only been inhabited since around 1273 AD. But now, nearly all of those earlier assumptions have been completely overturned. The new findings suggest humans may have settled in this region thousands of years earlier than previously recorded in history. But the secrets buried beneath German soil did not stop there. As archaeologists expanded the excavation area, they uncovered approximately 140 additional graves dating from around 500 to 600 AD, the early Middle Ages. This was one of the most chaotic periods in European history. Historians refer to this era as the Völkerwanderung, the age of migration, marked by massive tribal movements and constant warfare across Europe. It was also the period when the Germanic ruler Odoacer deposed Romulus Augustus, signaling the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Just imagine what Europe looked like at that time. The continent was consumed by conflict. Tribes constantly moved, fought, and battled for territory. Entire groups of people traveled in search of new lands to settle, while old empires slowly collapsed. And today, the graves hidden beneath the soil of Germany are silently telling the story of that turbulent age. My dear viewers, the archaeological discoveries we've explored today are only a small part of the wonders that history still keeps hidden. Every trace, every artifact contains untold stories, secrets that perhaps humanity may never fully understand. Will we ever be able to uncover all the answers? Or will these mysteries remain unsolved questions in our endless journey to explore the past? No matter what the answer may be, one thing is certain: the journey of discovery will continue, bringing surprises we could never predict. Thank you so much for staying with the video all the way until the very end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another fascinating discovery from ancient history. And for now, goodbye, and I'll see you again in the next video.